big field for today's race, with each of the nations allowed to enter 116, the total racers, 4 from each team. And it's Matthias Simon, the best of the Swiss, 33-year-old, who gets proceedings underway. And look at those conditions. It really is quite superb.
It is. The sun isn't going to influence too much the snow and the glide factor, so a level race throughout.
Thomas Sikora, the next to go, a man who's had 4 clear shoots this season. That augurs well, Mike. If he can do that today, he's certainly capable of medaling.
Well, he was racing brilliantly in December. He said he'd come back after Christmas even better. He didn't. But we know that they stood out of Pokljuka, the World Cup leading into this. They've prepared well, the Polish team.
89 and 87% the hit record on the targets for Thomas Sikora. And he was 17th in Oberhof a year ago. Now, first of the Koreans, Yoon Bae Park. He's had a terrible record in the prone targets, Mike, so it could go wrong, horribly wrong, in the early stages of this race. Just remind us of the format.
The format, we ski 3.3 kilometres on this loop. It's the same loop each time. You come in, you shoot lying down after the 3.3. You ski a further 3.3. You come in and you shoot standing. 5 targets each time. If you miss a target, you ski a penalty loop of 150 metres.
Well, that's exactly what Yannis Osbolt has got to do now. Another of the veterans on the tour, 34. This is his 12th World Championships. His personal best at any stage was in an individual when he finished 16th. I think he'll be aiming for a top 20. Certainly that will be his aim. And on the form we've seen this year, that would be a good result.
I think he'd be happy with that. The Slovenian team, the men's team, not quite as good this year, although the women are really making up for it.
Next to go, the physical education instructor from the Czech Republic, Roman Dostal. Another 34-year-old. I thought he had retired at the end of last season, but retiring's not as easy as it sounds, is it?
I think he was excluded from the summer elite team. And yeah, sometimes when you step back from the team, the pressure comes off and you recharge. You feel so much better. And he's back with a vengeance.
Now, Terezemlia from Ukraine. The Ukrainians are a team that they know how to peak. They're always good at the big occasion. Haven't seen that much of them this year, but I just get a feeling that we could see a couple of top 10 results from them over the forthcoming days.
Indeed, and this man, Terezemlia, has had top results over the past 5 years. Certainly looks very powerful. That's the fastest I've seen going over that first rise after the start.
Well, he didn't race in Antolz, didn't race in the last 3 World Cups as we watch Sikora. Now, those are the corners you were talking about, Mike, and in these conditions, we could, in the individual race, it should be okay. They've got plenty of space. They can choose their race line. But come the mass start and the pursuit, we're going to see chaos.
Well, that was so fast, and as first man round, he had an ideal track. Did you see how he was chopping his way around there? That's only going to get worse and rutted.
Well, I think we'll see a few side slips going on, just trying to control the speed as they come in, certainly in the women's races. But if you can sidestep, if you can dance your way round the corners, you're going to gain 5-10 seconds every time you go round.
And that's where Bjorn Dahlen, starting later, has an advantage. He floats around these corners. Absolutely magical.
Well, as we watch Imre Tagshira of Hungary, he comes from Budapest, aiming for the top 60 today. So he gets a race in the pursuit tomorrow. That would be a major achievement for the Hungarian skier. Mike, here comes a medalist from last year, Rico Gross, one of the stars of old. 3 times he's taken championship golds. Perhaps not as many times as we would have thought, but he's always a threat in the majors.
He's an amazing guy, Rico Gross. He is absolutely brilliant. Hasn't been in form. He's been, 50 seconds off the fastest skier. But I think today he'll be back. He missed out on a gold by 9 seconds last year. Who knows, he might put that right today.
So he took the silver in Oberhof. Is it going to be a medal for Rico Gross today? The rest of the German squad, Mike, Gross obviously starting first.
And then Bernbacher 11th, Fischer 13th and Grice 27th.
Well, watch out for those numbers because they're all on form at the moment. Here goes Øyenstein of Greenland, lives in the capital of Greenland, Nuuk, and is a computer programmer by trade or profession, not quite sure which, but anyway, that's what he does. He does that for 8 months of the year, and then he's on the tour for the rest. It's a really big achievement, and he travels with his wife and their baby, and they head around the biathlon tour. Love it to bits, and well, all credit to him. He's not going to win today, we know that, but he is on the course and starting yet another World Championships. Now here's a man who could win, Andy Bernbacher. It'd be an outside chance, but he's the up-and-coming star in the German team, 23, and the last few races have been going brilliantly well.
Indeed, Bernbacher just came to the fore, really only, in San Sicario, the second last World Cup prior to coming to these races.
And got his first podium finish in Pokluka, finishing third in the sprint there. That event won by Simon of Belarus, so that was a bit of a surprise with the Belarus team being off form. We're queuing in on Rico Gross as he approaches the 1.2 kilometre stage. Mike, 1.2 kilometres, 2:25. That's an average speed of around 32 kilometres.
It's fast, Patrick. You're right, from the range all the way down the valley. Now we're coming back up. It's an extremely fast course. And that's where, if you float well on your skis, you have an advantage. If you're a heavy skier, muscle-based, maybe a bit like Sven, you don't quite gain the advantages.
Well, here goes Sven Fischer. I think these courses are going to suit Sven because he's one of the heavier men on the tour. He likes it hard and he likes it firm. Question is he going to be acclimatized to this altitude? Not as high as Antolz, but we're at 1.3 thereabouts, and it does, if you're not ready for it, it's going to be a bit of a shock to the system.
It is a factor indeed. On the verge, I suppose the sports scientists would tell us that it has an influence in your physiologically in your body when you're racing here. This is one of the steepest hills, and it looks far less than when you stand by it, when you look on the camera.
Rico Gross, 2.8 seconds off the pace at the first split point. I don't think that's anything to be too concerned about. Looks okay on the uphill sections. Now, Mike, in previous years, the snow on the climb back up towards the stadium has been very soft indeed, but it looks in good form, and hopefully it will stay that way for the next 10 days. Weislaw of Poland. Nice and balanced on the skis. Most of Polish funding, of course, going to ski jumping, where Adam Małysz is the national hero. But, well, it would be nice to see them produce some good results. And the Russians certainly will be hoping for medals today. They've got a great team out. Rozhkov goes first, starting 16. Chepikov, 25. Shudov, 40. And Nikolai Kruglov, in fact, going off number 31. So they've all chosen to go pretty early on.
Yeah, I think, well, looking down the results, it's the Norwegians who have decided to go in the second group.
Here comes Sven Fischer. This is the climb back up towards the stadium, just down to the left of the commentary boxes. And it doesn't look too steep on the screen, but it would have most of us gasping for air and stopping halfway up for a break. It is that steep and that severe. Then they drop down again, and then the sharp right-hander before they have to ascend the hill. It's a depressing part of the course, Mike, because you can see it coming. But it's one of those technical areas that we talked about. This is where the Poirets and the Bjorndalens will gain time in these conditions.
Well, it will be interesting to compare the two. Sven was quite heavy as he stepped around, using a huge amount of muscle force to carry his speed around the corner. And if you can float around that lighter, you're not quite as tense going into the big steep uphill.
Thomas Sikora, first chance we get to see the action in the range. And as you can see, the wind having no effect on the round at all. This is all down to ability, and he gets 4 out of 5 in these conditions. It really should have been a clean sheet for Sikora. He's thrown one wide, and that could prove very, very costly in the end.
Surprised Sikora missing that shot. He is one of the best.
Carl-Johan Bergman of Sweden, what a season he's been having. 16th in the World Cup standings, just 26 now, and I think he's got a chance. Certainly he's shown the ski form this season to show that he is a potential winner.
And if I remember right, Bergman came to the fore at the World Champs last year when he really stamped his authority.
Absolutely, finishing 9th in the individual race there with some good shooting. Starting after Bergman, Miro Kosic. Be surprised to see him hit the top 20, but the major championships does funny things to these athletes. Some are inspired, some are too nervous to perform. Sergei Rozhkov, hugely experienced, and he's a man who has been on form recently and certainly stands a good chance here. Incidentally, early stages of the Biathlon World Championships. We want to hear from as many of you as possible on our website, biathlonboys@hotmail.com. Bit of a dodgy website, but never mind. Get on to that. Let us know what your thoughts are, if you've got any questions, or if you've got any predictions for the races, and we'll read them out if they're better than the ones we come up with. Now, Derry Zemlier. Time is good, Mike. 8:56 he's after. And if he can avoid the penalty loop, as he has done, Derry Zemlier is going to take a comfortable lead ahead of Sikora, who missed one. Yanis Osbolt-Simon, not a good start for him, as he's gone through the first shoot. And the Ukraine taking the lead. 8:17 now, the target time. 13 Ukraine taking the lead. 8:17 now, the target time. 39 seconds up, Mike. That's an indication that he's skiing at least 10 seconds quicker than the likes of Thomas Sikora.
Yeah, Derry Zemlier is extremely focused. You could feel it when he was shooting. He didn't want to rush his shots. He took it very calm, and it's such an opposite. You have to be so aggressive on the track and so calm when you're squeezing the trigger.
Well, what a contrast to Oberhof last year, where the weather did absolutely everything in the space of a fortnight. Here, it's beautiful, clear skies. The Alpine Bavarian weather does not get any better than this. It is quite stunning, and not a breath of wind at the moment. I just get a sneaky feeling that it's going to pick up for the women's race and make the women's sprint a very tough affair.
Julien Robert setting out, the first of 5 Frenchmen. Every nation can race, well, the top 20 nations can race 4. The French can race 5 because they have the reigning world champion in Poirier.
Now, Rico Gross, big moment. Remember, the silver medalist from last year. The ski time is not as quick as Derry Zemlier. No mistake from Rico, but you wouldn't expect one. He has been the best shot on the tour consistently for the last 3 seasons, and the prone really his strong point.
It is 93%. That stands him in my calculations as the best prone shot of the men's World Cup Tour coming into these races.
Well, that's a statistic that gives you confidence when you come in. He never looks as though he's going to miss prone. He has a couple of times this season, but he's gone clear. Now, here comes his teammate, Andy Bernbacher, who, what about the ski time, Mike? He's a couple of seconds down on Rico Gross, to be honest. If we get the first split time at 1.2 kilometres, we'll let you know exactly how Bernbacher was doing there. Down in 7th, 4.1 behind, so exactly 1.8 seconds down off Rico Gross's time at that stage. One quick breath in between. That was all. It almost looked too deliberate.
It's his routine, and Bernbacher can shoot so fast, and he does do that very one quick breath routine. Works for him. There's a lot of rifle movement though, but when you're in good form, you automatically, well, there's our first faller. I think it's it's Watanabe of Japan. Now, he's an exceptionally quick skier, and that may be the reason that he's taken a fall. I think he must have accelerated down the hill and just gone into it too fast. Couldn't hold the line, and we've got a problem there. I wonder whether they're going to have to redesign it and widen the corner to give those faster skiers a chance to get round. It is so tight down there.
Oh, what a disastrous start for Sven Fischer. Now he's got to pick himself up, refocus. And that's exactly what he's done. 4 out of 5 for Fischer. 8:07. He's just about as quick as Derry Zemlier, but he's got 1 penalty loop to ski. 150 metres. How do you rate the penalty loop here in Hogfilsen?
It's going to be about 22 seconds from instead of turning right back onto the track. It climbs up for the first 75 metres and quite fast as you exit the loop. but it's always frustrating when you go on a penalty loop. Sven will be so angry. He wants to win this one today, and he's got this ability to dig so deep into his soul to bring extra push, extra focus out, and that's what he needs to do now.
And that's exactly what this man's going to do. Fresh from a win in the World Cup, his first ever win. He's a massive, massive talent. Nikolai Krugloff, the son of an Olympic champion, the son of a world champion. The pedigree doesn't come much better than this, Mike. He was moved to Khanty-Mansiysk just so he could focus on the sport, switch from ping pong, believe it or not, to biathlon. But there is a connection there. The reactions, the accuracy, the nerve, the mental side of things, all he's had to do is add the skiing and the fitness.
No, totally right. The eye-hand coordination, you're looking at a target, you're squeezing a trigger. It's all about reactions. Well, German coach shouting, you're 10 seconds behind Derizemlia. Well, it's 10.1, but 10's good enough for Rico.
So Krugloff on the course, and Rojkov settling for his first shoot. Early start for all the Russians. Now, Rojkov, who won in San Sicario, predicted by one of our viewers, Paul Young, who's regular correspondent. And a good start for Rojkov again. Third, first, second and second. His races in the last four, his results in the last four races. And you can't fault that, Mike, but the time is significantly slower than the current race leader, Andrei Derizemlia.
That's a very good start from the Ukrainian. Can he hold the pace, though? Derizemlia was so focused leading into the start. And maybe he's just pushed a little bit too hard. I hope he can hold it, though.
Marian Blaj of Romania just getting ready to start, but most eyes are on the man behind him, Raphael Poiré, who will be the next in the starting gate, the defending champion, the World Cup leader, and Poiré desperate to put in a good race here. This is what the focus has been on this season. Good positive start from Blaj, but it won't be as quick as this man. He's going to go like lightning. Now, Mike, how concerned would you be if you were the French coach about Poiré's shooting this year?
I would have a little concern, to be honest, Patrick, but when he starts this race, you know that he has a great mind for the biggest of competitions, and you just get a feeling Poiré can get it together today.
Carl-Johan Bergman. Good start. Very good start. And the ski speed a little slower than the Ukrainian, but he should be roughly equal with Rico Gross, who went 5 out of 5. And Bergman is going to join the top 3 or 4. He's in contention, and provided he has a good shoot in the standing, then it could be Sweden's day. That would be sensational. Away goes Wolfgang Rottmann, massively popular in these parts. He's got the home crowd, and he's a former world champion. Took the title in 2001, I think it was, in Oslo in the individual. And Mike, we know about the Austrians. When it comes to the majors, they ski 5 to 6% quicker than they have done all season.
Indeed. Rottmann, though, his weakness is the stand. Look at the ski time from Zhang. Now, because the Chinese team are ranked below the 20th or outside the top 20, they can only start one athlete, and this is him.
That's a little unfortunate when you consider the Brits are allowed to race 4.
Brits and any other nation, Japanese, all in the top 20 can race 4.
Would you change that?
I would. I think you should give a fair and level playing field to everybody.
When you become president of the IBU.
You would then have a race situation of, you know, you have 32, 35 nations here. Yeah. You'd have a huge field.
I think it's a bit disappointing for the Chinese, who've made such an effort, and they've made huge advances this year. Haven't got the shooting quite right, but their ski speed is competitive. And that's more than we can say for a number of the nations that are allowed to start 4.
Indeed, but it's as a team. Poiré was certainly looking like he's back in form. We'll get a split time, hopefully, at the 1.2 kilometre.
Fastest so far at 1.2. This man, Derizemlia of Ukraine, leading after the first shoot. Now, if he clears up,
he has a chance of winning if he does clear all these targets.
Now, 4 out of 5. It's still very good indeed. Slightly baffled to see that he's sponsored by Helsinki. Not sure what that's all about. He is a Ukrainian. We'll do our best to find out, get hold of the Ukrainians and have a chat with them. Raphael Perret, Mike,
he's back, Patrick.
You think so? I'm not convinced.
He's back. He's only 0.2 of a second off Derzemlia's amazing time, early
quick.
time.
I'll grant you that, he's quick, but the technique still doesn't look quite as fluent. There's something not connecting between the legs and the arms. I don't think maybe he hasn't been doing enough ballet training, which is what he did initially to bring his form up to the highest level.
It's a good point, but I think only two men will skate to or double dance up that incredible hill. One is Poirier, the other on Dallin. Nobody else will risk the tension, the muscle fatigue, and maybe Poirier will suffer for that.
Okay, I back down. I give it.
It was such a steep hill.
I think you're right. I'd forgotten just how steep that little section of the course is, but we'll see how it goes on, because if he is straining, if he is pushing too hard, he's going to have problems hitting all the targets.
Indeed, but respect for being able to skate to up that hill.
We'll try and explain the different techniques when we see them, and hopefully we'll get some good shots of both Poirier and Bjorndal, and the two best technicians on the tour. Now, Rico Gross clear on the prone, a chance to gain time and go ahead of Derzemlia now, but it's gone. It has gone, and maybe his chance of getting another medal in the sprint has gone with it. Well, the remainder was quick. He didn't waste any time at all. 30 seconds to get it inside Derzemlia's time. He was 14 seconds or so. We'll just update you on the first shoot, let you know how far behind Derzemlia he was. He's down in seconds, 7.2 seconds off. He's got the same hit rate as the Ukrainian. And is he going to be able to get inside? 10 seconds left for the leading time.
I think you'll be about 10 seconds behind. You're still climbing around this penalty loop. Now you pick up more speed. Rico, you could tell by his body language he was not anticipating a miss there. Of course he wasn't, and it may well have cost him a medal. That one error.
Out he comes, 17:38. He's lost another second, or a fraction of a second, 0.7 to be precise, to Derzemlia over the last loop. Now he's got to turn it on, but Rico Gross not famed like Sven Fischer for his power over the last 3.3 kilometers. So I would be surprised to see him overhaul Derzemlia in the final stretches.
Indeed, it's a lot to ask. 8 seconds.
Ilmar Bricious.
This is a great time, Patrick, from our Latvian friend.
Needs to complete the shoot by 17:15 if he's going to take the lead. And he's done it. He has done it. Excellent shooting. And we have a new name, I think, at the top of the leaderboard, provided Bricious stays on his feet. Here's the fall of shot. Looks very calm.
He was lucky for that to go down. Most of the lead appeared to hit high at 11 o'clock.
And he's got an 11-second advantage, Mike. That is significant. Round 50, 60 metres ahead. Sven Fischer clears all the standing. What's his time like? 17 minutes. That's going to be good as well. And Bricious isn't safe. Wow, great finish from Fischer. And now we do know he will finish even faster than he skied the first two loops.
Yes, he's going to be, what, 5-6 seconds ahead at this point. And you wouldn't bet against him to pull that time back.
5.8 seconds advantage to Sven Fischer, and he has got 50% of the crowd at least supporting him. A huge number of German fans, buses, cars, you name it. They've all made their way down to this part of Austria. We're not far from the German border, of course. What is it, an hour's drive or so from the closest airport? I've forgotten what it's called.
Salzburg. I was waiting. I thought, yeah, Salzburg, not far up the road. And, yeah, the border, maybe, what, 35 minutes drive?
Yeah.
Not far from Ruhpolding either, down this part, 50 minutes.
Alpine ski fans may be familiar with the town called Fieberbrunn, which is just down the road from here, and it's really not that long a drive from Kitzbühel either. So we're right in the heart of European skiing. And, well, what a pleasure it is to be here in these conditions. Beautiful blue skies. It doesn't come any better. Roshkov won't be paying any attention to that, although he will, of course, have taken note of the fact that the wind is non-existent. Now, He's lost a little bit of time, Mike. Fisher left the range at 17:02.
Yeah, Roshkov has not looked as powerful as the World Cups leading into this. Sometimes you can go away and prepare the final preparation and it flattens you if you're on very tired body.
Well, there is a chance that he saw his best form 2 weeks ago, so just got the timing slightly wrong, and he has paid the price. How's Poiré getting on? No mistakes so far. The ski speed is not the best. And with that miss, the defending champion is in trouble. Oh, that sounded close. That sounded very heavy indeed. And I'm surprised to see it go down. But he's got 4 out of 5. Can he come back from there?
It's going to be a tough one. He can come back from there. It would be an incredible focus and mind push and body push.
Well, Sven Fischer has done it with a miss. He's got the lead after the second shoot. Wolfgang Rottmann, wow, there'll be a big cheer if these 5 go down.
It's a great shot of the prone position, the stability from the elbows.
Now Rottmann coming up out of the range. It's a steep little climb around the corner, and then the clock stops, and he's got 8:16. He's inside Darius Emlia, and Rottmann will bring the Austrians to life. I don't think they were expecting any medals from these championships, but if they start off with a medal in the men's sprint, that will be quite sensational.
Bergman, the last shot, he missed. Otherwise, he could have gone out in first place.
5.7, Mike. He was 5.8 ahead at when he left the range. So Fischer's made no impression as yet, but that may just be an indication that Darius Emlia is really turning on the power for the last loop.
Could well be. Darius Emlia desperately wants this medal, although the Norwegians haven't come into the first prone shoot yet.
So there you see the standings after the first shoot. Rottmann has the lead for Austria. Darius Emlia of Ukraine. Rico Gross of Germany, 7.7. Rico's gone through and missed the target in the standing. Darius Emlia likewise. Chepikov, good start from him, Mike. He's 10.5 outside the pace. Will pick up. He's one of the oldest men in the field. In fact, he might be the oldest at 38. And he's in 4th place. Great day for Russia if he could medal. But he's got some tough competition out there.
He has. Roshenkov, another 38-year-old, in 7th place, 14 seconds. Roshkov off form a little bit, 16 seconds. That's only after 3.3 kilometers.
In fact, I think only 2 of that leaderboard of 8 under 30. Now, Chudov, haven't seen much of him, Mike, but I know you've been impressed by his performances so far this year.
Indeed, he was leading the Europa Cup. And his strength is his shooting, but this is a new situation. The World Championships team for his country puts another set of pressures on you. And well, there we are, a mistake. Oh, what a disaster. He's ejected a round by mistake, so he's grabbed another one, which is quite legal.
So that's a disastrous start for Chudov, but the Russians have still got 3 men going well. Darius Emlia, who started so well. What a shame about that one miss. 25:32, the target time for, well, I was going to say for everyone, but Thomas Sikora has sneaked in and put in an astonishing finish. We didn't notice it. I don't think the cameramen have noticed it. And Darius Emlia, who was 30 seconds down after the second shoot. Now, explain that one, Mike.
Well, Sikora has caught back 30 seconds on Darius Emlia's time in the last 3.3 kilometers.
Do you think he's taken a bit of a navigational problem?
That's an incredible amount of time to pull back. I don't know what's going on there, but brilliant from Sikora to have pulled that much time back. But this is
now Chepi. Chepi throws his first mistake. Pressure of the situation eventually getting to him. 9 out of 10 for Chepikov, and I think, Mike, with the ski speed we saw from the first 6Ks, that rules him out of a top 3, but it puts him in a very strong position for the start of the pursuit tomorrow, which of course is based on the results of today. The winner today will start first tomorrow, and the time gaps between them exactly the same as today's results, so doubly important, today's performance.
Yeah, that's a pity. He missed it. The 3 o'clock
What's Rico Gross done over the closing stages? 25.29, the time he's after. Gross is going to get inside. Another sensational finish, 25.26. And I think that helps us explain the gains of Thomas Sikora, Mike. I think Darius Emile has hit the wall at some stage on that last loop. And the hills are so steep that if you run out of energy, you're going to lose 30 seconds.
I think we did touch on that. Sometimes it's a World Championships, you're an early starter, you've got all this enthusiasm, and you put just a little bit too much energy out into the first half of your race, and what that means is you really tie up in the last 2 kilometres, the last 1 kilometre, and sadly that must have happened for Darius Emile.
I think that's exactly what's happened. I know we call it a sprint, but pacing is still part of the game over 10,000 metres. Mickey Grice, great finish to his run. 17.14 Fisher's time. He was a second inside that when he put the last target down, but he's still got 30 metres to go. Mickey Grice is going to have a chance of medaling, but that one miss is going to prove very expensive, I think. 17.27. Number 12 coming in to finish, that's Ilmar Brissis, who's had a great shooting day, and he's put in a time of 25.01.
Oh, I would love for Brissis to get a medal today, and his chances are quite good.
Well, here's a man who's going to take that lead away. 24.48. Sensational stuff in the opening stages of this men's 10-kilometre sprint, and it's the old man who has the lead, Sven Fischer of Germany. What a sensational run. 13 seconds inside Brissis. He leads. Gross in third. Sikora fourth. Darius Emile, who we thought may have a chance of winning this one, is now down in fifth. And Matthias Simon of Switzerland, 9 out of 10. He's down in 6th position. Now, we haven't mentioned the Brits, Mike. Well, we got a little bit of a breather. Joe Brooks going 45, Tom Clements 54, Mark Walker starting late at 92, but Jackson, the latest of them all, he starts at 104. Who do we look for the best result?
Well, Tom Clements has been performing the best at start number 54, and so hopefully he can get it together today. Good shooting can put Tom Clements top 35.
Now, Frode Andersen, you won't be surprised to hear he's flying, but every Norwegian crossing their fingers at the moment, because Andersen is capable of wonderful performances and disasters in equal measure, and he's got 3 out of 5. That's too expensive for Frode Andersen. I'm afraid that's the end of his challenge, and one of the Norwegian gambles has not paid off. They've still got Lars Berger to come, who we know is on tremendous ski form, and Berger starting just 1.5 minutes behind Frode Andersen, so it won't be long before he comes in. Great performance from Nikolai Krugloff, 17.18. What can he do over the closing lap? He's going to be in contention for a top 3.
Well, he's got the perfect shoot, but he is 30 seconds off the pace, considering he hasn't been round the penalty loop. Once again, Krugloff showing amazing power and mind focus, getting all the targets.
Just to let you know, the fastest man in the opening stages of this race is still Wolfgang Rottmann, and that might mean that he suffers the same fate as Darius Emile. Maybe he's gone off too fast as well.
Well, we'll see Rottmann coming in soon for his stand shooting, which hasn't been so good throughout the season so far.
Rottmann started 36, will have gained a little bit of time on Rishenkov. So Rojkov coming in to finish. He's down in 6th position at the moment, 54 down.
He's absolutely devastated, shaking his head. He knows he's got no power. What a horrible feeling that is. Your main event, you've got no power. Possibly skis were slow. After the start, he was way down on time on a relatively easy part of the course.
So that's the first bit of bad news for the Russian team. Nikolai Krugloff has shot clear, could be a little bit quicker now. If Berger can... Oh, spoke too soon. Commentator's curse. Whoa, working again. No, can you believe it? Size all the way across Oslo as they see those 2 misses from Lars Berger, and his chances have gone. Poiré, 17.14, Fisher's time. Still a possibility.
He can still do this. Hesitating, looking, he's taking his eyeball off the target, looking to the right, now he's back on.
Shades of Oberhof pursuit, and that's exactly what happened. He missed. 4 out of 5, so Poiré's chances of retaining the title have gone. He will he certainly hasn't got a chance of catching Fisher, and I don't think we're going to see him in the top three, Mike. Now, that's obviously important for the World Championships. It's vitally important for the World Cup as well.
It is, and tomorrow the pursuit, he wants to place himself so close to the leader, but it's not going to be the history they made last year, the Poiré, with Raphael winning this sprint, the men's, and his wife later winning the women's sprint. Doesn't look possible now for Poiré.
Yeah, and just to remind you, unlike the cross-country and the Alpine World Championships, the points gained in this event will count for World Cup points as well. So some very, very important points to pick up. Poiré leading the men's tally with 688. Fisher in second, 663. Bjorndalen in third, 603. So it's as tight as it's been for a long time, with three in contention for the title. And I don't think on what we've seen so far today that Rojkov is going to feature. So, biggest surprise of the day so far, apart from the fact that Deris Zemlier of Ukraine blew up on the last loop.
He did. He ran out of steam. He was leading, and he pushed so hard in the early stages, and his body just gave in on him.
Now, how do you say that?
Pachachuk. No, he's shown...
We'll call him Christoph for now, as he settles.
Good form and huge talent, this man I hear from Poland. He's stabilising, taking longer than most to build his position. And it's so many things going on in biathlon. You have to calm your pulse, you feel your heart beating away in your chest, which moves the rifle. Well, he picked up his speed and showing great skill there on this high-pressure day.
Good solid performance now. Here comes a slightly later starter than we expected. Ole Einar Bjorndalen. He won the last World Cup he entered, came back from what wasn't a wholly successful visit to the Nordic World Championships, but my goodness, did he look good and impressive in Pakluka, the last event there. He was flying around the course, absolutely destroyed the course by 2 minutes, and Bjorndalen, if he's on that sort of form, is going to be tough to catch. We've had, 8 sprints this year already. He's won 50% of them. 4 victories in the sprint events. He's got a good lead in the sprint world standings. Now, before we go back to Bjorndalen, Chepikov coming in, 25:02:03. He's just missed out on second, and Russia go third, 25:03.8, 15.8 down. One shot, Mike, would have put him in top spot.
Well, isn't Chepikov amazing? He just keeps going on and on every year, and incredibly, he hasn't lost much in the way of ski speed, of focus. He still loves biathlon.
And when you think how much the skis have changed, the technique has changed since he started, and of course the way people shoot has changed, and he's adapted better than anyone else.
Oh, amazing athlete, very calm person. He likes his music. He likes his old-time music.
Well, we'll no doubt follow a lot of Bjorndalen. Just take a look. Talk us through his technique and his style, because what is interesting about him is he doesn't just work on the uphills where you can gain time. He thinks about every single aspect of skiing.
And I think this is, we touched upon it earlier, where he just floats along. He doesn't have a huge body mass or body weight, and he just glides very easily along the surface of the snow. But there's a huge amount of muscle force going into each one of those kicks.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Mickey Grice coming in to finish is not quite going to be the best German, because of course Sven Fischer leading at the moment, but he goes into fourth ahead of Rico Gross. Now, what does that tell you about Frank Ulrich's team? He's got them on form. He's got 1, 4 and 5 at the moment.
Well, you mentioned Frank Ulrich. 1978 the World Championships were last held here, and Frank Ulrich won this race, so he has prepared his team well.
Yeah. The tracks have changed a little bit since then, and the equipment has changed as well. Here comes Bjorndalen again. This is the corner we've been watching. It's softened up slightly, but as you say, Mike, he hardly comes out of the tuck. Just steps round nice and easy, carries the momentum, and he's gained 3 or 4 seconds on the majority of the field, and he goes through 1.2, down in 16th, just 4.2 down. What do you think we make of that?
No problem at all. I think he's back to his phase where we saw him pre-Christmas, where he took the first part of the race nice and steady. This is the double dance technique up this hill. I did notice Sven Fischer went up this hill double dancing on his last loop. He didn't on his earlier loops, but he was in a hurry, and it is the fastest technique.
So a double dance is where you use both poles with each stride that you take. Single dance, or skate one as some people, or V1, it all gets rather complicated, is where you do one pole with every other stride. So it's a slightly lower gear. Double dance is like being in 5th or 6th gear in a car.
Absolutely.
Whereas single dance is like being in 2nd or 3rd.
Indeed, and not normally you're paddling, which is the...
And what's the equivalent of first gear?
First gear is the paddling, where it's left leg, left arm lead, or right arm, right leg lead. So yeah, it's like gear 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
What about herringbone skate? That's one that most people are reduced to.
Up that very steep hill.
Now here comes Krugloff. Chepikov is in 25.03. Krugloff a clear shoot, great performance, and he pushes the two Germans down a slot into 4th place, 25.11. What a shame. I'm sure he had his eye on a medal today, but what's so important is he gets another crack at the whip tomorrow in the pursuit. What a brilliant position to be in.
Oh, indeed. Well, I predicted that Krugloff would win a medal here. I thought it might be today, but he's well placed for the pursuit race tomorrow.
Now, Rotman on his second shoot. Quick on the first shoot, lying in first position still. In fact, it's not Rotman.
It's Pinter.
Pinter.
We'll just try and update you on Rotman, because he did have the early time. But he hasn't been good in the standing. And, oh, he missed 5. Rotman went 0, was leading the race, and he missed 5.
And Frode Andersen doesn't do much better. 4 misses out of 5, and Andersen, well, the Norwegian selectors will be taking a bit of stick in the Oslo papers tomorrow.
Well, indeed, there's Stian Eckhoff, who's what, 3rd best, I think, in the sprint races throughout this season.
Yeah.
And he's standing watching this.
Hannevold isn't in it. Eckhoff isn't in it. Alexander Oss, who showed great form in San Sicario, he's not been selected. I think the problem partly, Mark, is that they made their selection so long ago.
They did, and there's some sense in that, so that your athletes can get their heads around it, can prepare mentally. But form changes, shooting changes. Yeah. I'm amazed. I would want to hold my team and select in the 10 days prior to this, because people change on form.
But both Berger and Andersen, in investment terms, fall into the high-risk category. You know you can get good returns, but the chances of it happening are pretty slim. Why did they go for 2 high-risk athletes rather than 1? When you consider that today's results also follow over into tomorrow.
Absolutely, I agree. But then you do look, just checking the results, Frode Andersen has been on the podium on 3 occasions. He's had 3 seconds in the sprint race. But as you say, for every good day he has about 3 bad days. In the sprint and shooting terms.
Well, I'm sure we've got some Norwegian fans out there, maybe some Norwegians watching the English transmission. If you are, let us know what the Norwegian papers were saying, why they picked Andersen and Berger for the same race. Many coaches would love to have that possibility. Now, Poiré coming in, 25.36. Mikey's off the boil, 2 misses, down in 10th at the moment, and he could be pushed outside the top 15.
It must be tough for Poiré. He just hasn't quite got the magic that he normally has. The
50 seconds down, 2 penalty loops.
Oh, he's still skiing fast.
Take those away, he's only 5 seconds or so off the pace. But bear in mind that Fischer missed 1 as well. He's lost 30 seconds to Sven Fischer.
It's a big deal, and Poiré doesn't really know what's going on, why he's losing his feeling for shooting. That's what it is. I think he's putting too much pressure on himself instead of let it flow.
First 2 Norwegians have made a hash of things in the range. Now Hjelland and Bjorndalen still to come. Pretty steady pair of cold hands from Hjelland. That's a great start. That's much better. I think the Norwegian coaches breathe a sigh of relief there.
But look what's happened on the range now, though, Patrick. The sun's still rising and the wind is picking up. There's quite a bit of wind now from the left, and maybe that did affect Berger and Andersen.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They should have noticed it. And there's a big chimney just down the road as well. They could see the smoke coming off that and the flags as you stay just behind the firing point, all fluttering, and they've got telltales in the range area. Now Bjorndalen's time, Mike, how good is that?
That is he's got jets on the end of his skis, I think. That is fast.
Now In previous years, the prone has been a little bit of a hurdle for Bjorn Dahlen.
Great position. The stability has a very wide leg spread, which supports your body.
He can't afford another miss. And he hasn't missed again. 4 out of 5 then. Same score as Sven Fischer. Bjorn Dahlen comes out now. Was that because he came in too fast? Did he rush the preparation?
I honestly think it was the wind. It is quite strong from the left, and it's just pushed his shot to the right. He's missed at 3 o'clock on the target.
Swedes going okay today. Here's Bjorn Ferry, who's
it's a very, very good time.
Done well on the prone. After the first shoot, Bjorn Ferry lying in 15th position, 22 seconds down. Oh, what a shame. Not as bad as Rotman, but not something that Bjorn Ferry will be too happy with.
There's Tom Clemens out ahead of Bjorn Ferry.
Any news on the progress of the British athletes after the first shoot?
First shoot, just confirmation. Yeah, Tom Clemens, it did go well. 56 seconds down and 42nd place. That is a good start for Tom Clemens.
With a clear shoot. But there are the standings after the first shoot. Still Rotman leading at that stage, but just a quick reminder that he's missed every single shot in the standing. An embarrassing performance by Rotman, and is out of the race pretty much. He's going to struggle to finish in the top 30 now. Superbly prepared tracks. They've put down a base of artificial snow, but as anyone who's been in the Alps recently will know, that there's been a massive snowfall over the last 2 weeks, just as there has been in Scotland, to be honest. But it really doesn't look much better than this. De Vrij coming through 25.31 and in 9th position. On the subject of conditions, Mike, it nearly, when the tour comes here, it's nearly always the very first World Cup of the season, and more often than not it has to be cancelled because there isn't any snow. So it's a real pleasure to come here and see it at its best.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Deep powder snow. In fact, there was a problem with the range. There was an avalanche behind the targets. I think it was middle of last week, which knocked a number of the targets and the protective covering over and smashed the whole targets, but they've worked on that and fixed it. You would think they would put some avalanche protections above the range. They probably will after that. Well, Bjorn Dahlen's pushing hard there.
High tempo. Now, if you want to be able to cover kilometre after kilometre and steep hills as well in the Skate 2 technique, a lot of work on the arms, obviously, but also the key areas, the abdominal regions, Mike, absolutely essential to have them rock solid.
Yeah, and lower back as well. You need a lot of power there. But stomach, he just drops his upper body weight through his stomach onto the poles. Not so fast on this lap. 15 seconds off Rotman's time, but Rotman was highly focused before his 5 shots missing the targets.
Interesting to see every other stride with that left stick. It goes out wide just to help him catch up with the arms, because the trouble is you get behind with the arms, and seeing him just slightly shortening the stride every other one. I don't know whether that's subconscious. Maybe we'll get another look at that later on. He's still got another loop to go. Bjorn Dahlen will be in for his second shoot in around, what, 3.5 minutes, something like that. Come under the road and then up into the range. Now, the Americans we haven't seen much of. They've been training up at Obertiliac. They're hoping for great things from Jay Hakkinen and Jeremy Thiele.
This is good. Probably Thiele's best result of the season.
And that really is impressive. He goes into 14th place, 1:18 down off the leading timer Sven Fischer. But take away the 2 misses, Mike, and that was a top 5 finish for Thiele. I know it's a big if, but all biathletes do it to find out where they would have finished had they had the perfect shoot. And Thiele, I think, can take some encouragement away from that. And let's hope that that kick-starts the American challenge for these championships. It's long overdue that they took a medal.
And Jeremy Thiele, there he is. He is such a strong athlete, huge amount of potential. I'm not even sure if he knows how much potential he really has. The day that he hits all the targets, he can win a race.
Pinter coming in to finish for Austria, and that's a good shooting performance by Pinter, making up for the misfortunes of Rotman. 130 down, top 20 at the moment. Now 130, Mike, he's going to be starting about 750 metres behind Sven Fischer in the pursuit tomorrow.
It's a long way, it's a big disadvantage. 1 minute 30. Good to see Simon again. But not winning today as he did in Pokljuka. Well, Poiré at the finish is down in 11th position at the moment, the world champion from last year. Well, Poiré at the finish is down in 11th position at the moment, the world champion from last year.
Freda Anderson, another disastrous second shoot, so 6 misses in all. And, well, if he finishes in the top 20, it will be an impressive ski, but we expect nothing less from Freda. 26:24 the time, and he's 136 down, 6 loops at 22 seconds each. He's looking at, what, 1 minute, well, almost 2 minutes. 2 minutes on the penalty loop.
What an amazing ski time from Andres. He can push so hard, and he gets angry when he misses targets, and the course gets punished. He pushes himself so hard.
Now, we saw Bjorn Dahlen go through 1.2, and he was a little bit down off the pace. He's should have gone through 5.2 now. He has, and he's up into 3rd position despite missing 1 target in the prone, and he's just 9.1 seconds down. So you're absolutely right, Mike. He started steady, he started to wind it up, but he doesn't have a choice now. Having missed in the prone, he has got to go hell for leather if he wants to win this one.
Indeed, so he appears to be slowly picking it up, and after his next shoot, his last shoot, he will go absolutely maximum, absolutely to his limit.
I think significantly, Mike, he's 14 seconds up on Sven Fischer at that stage. Now, if he can pick up another 5 seconds before he comes in to shoot, there is a chance that he can still catch Fischer on that last loop and miss a target. But we all know about how quickly Fischer finishes, and he's done it again today. He's sitting pretty in the stadium, leading. All he has to do is watch the Norwegians and Russians make a challenge at his time, and all the Norwegians electing to start in Group 2. That's why we're seeing a lot of them at the moment. Now, Hjelland, good clear shoot, took his time in the prone. Suspect he'll do the same with the preparation for the first shot.
You can see the body movement, the muscle, involuntary muscle movement. His stomach is gasping for air all the time.
3 out of 3 would have hit the prone targets. Great shooting, 4 out of 4. Oh, well, the last one goes down and right, but it's still good enough to hit the standing target. Hjelland cleans up, and he could well finish the best Norwegian if Bjorn Dahlen makes mistakes. He's just that little bit slower. Combined Hjelland shooting and Lars Berger skiing, and you would have a biathlon machine that would be unbeatable.
You certainly would. Well, Berger's ski form, having come 4th in the World Championships cross-country skiing, his ski time not as good today.
Well, this man's ski time is absolutely brilliant, but what can he do? He can probably afford 1 miss and still get a medal. Big shot. Oh, he's got it. Bjorn Dahlen storming away. It has to be said that it would be justice if he takes this one. He's won 4 out of the 5 sprints so far this season. I think he's only entered 6, so in fact he's won just about everything he's gone in for. And Bjorn Dahlen storming away. 5 out of 5 in the standings. 16:59 the time. 14 seconds inside the leaders, Mike. How far ahead of Sven Fischer is he after that second shoot? Fischer, of course, who missed 1 shot today, came out of the range looking for his time, came out of the range 14 seconds down. So Bjorn Dahlen effectively 28 seconds clear. Can he lose that? Der Zemlier did.
Der Zemlier did, but we know that Sven Fischer pushed an incredible last loop. We know that Bjorn Dahlen can do the same. I don't think that Bjorn Dahlen can lose this one now. He could fall in the corner, the steep right-hander. There are other elements that could happen, but you just wouldn't expect it.
It's not in the bag quite yet for Ole-Einar Bjorn Dahlen. This is just the medicine that he needed after that disappointing introduction to the Nordic World Championships, where he finished way down the order in the men's 15k. Now, Bjorn Dahlen, Fischer, Britius, the standings after that second shoot. Now, Mike, on the subject of that 15k at the World Champs, there were lots of conflicting reports. We got a lot of emails saying, why didn't you tell us that he was ill, and hadn't you heard that he was ill? Well, the coaches were saying he was okay. We go on the coaches, not on the papers. But maybe the coaches were covering up for him.
Possibly, although I don't think so. You don't start a World Championships race if you are ill in any way, or if your previous week leading into it has been negative. So he knows his body. The coaches know him as an athlete, and he wouldn't have started if he was feeling bad that day. Simple as that.
So how do you explain his result?
He's maybe taking on too much. If you focus on one thing and you go to another, you get distracted. Maybe distractions.
Okay, we'll settle for that as Hjelland comes round on his last loop. So Germany are still leading at the finish here, and Sven Fischer has been conducting a number of interviews. I'm sure the first thing he's saying is, I haven't won this one yet, so don't ask me any questions about what it feels like to be a gold medalist, because he's as modest as the next man. But it really would be great to see Sven Fischer back on the podium. Here comes his main challenger, Ole-Einar Bjorn Dahlen, wearing bib number 74. This is the key corner, Mike.
This is it, but we've seen Bjorn Dahlen and the great skill that he has. Some athletes are snow ploughing, as we see the Polish athlete going round. Bjorn Dahlen just floats round it, coming out faster.
Beautiful, and now look how he'll just eat up the other athletes, just cruises past. That's gained himself another 10 metres, and he carries the momentum up the first bit of the hill, straight into that skate 2 again. Now look at that left pole, Mike, going wide on occasions.
As Arne Edland running up beside him. I didn't quite hear what he said, but I think it was to the positive. You can sometimes catch what they say, but we know it's good, we know it's fantastic today.
Now there's another interesting thing. Sven Fischer, skis ready for interviews, but also very important that he gets some fluid into him and carbohydrates. I know it's only a short race, but if he's going to survive these championships and be in as good a form at the end as he is now, getting food and drink into you immediately after your run is vital.
Absolutely. He looks disappointed at the moment. He was desperate to have so many people want to talk to him, but as you say, you've got to take food into your body. 5 races over the next 10 days, and the big races. After 8 World Cups since, the 4th of December it all started. It's a long racing season.
Mesitic of Austria. Now this would be a good finish, but what is it about the standing shooting? They don't seem to be able to get it together. The wind, really no excuse at the moment. 4 out of 5 for Mesitic. Excuse me. And out he goes. That's the best Austrian shooting we've seen so far. Canard of France, 26.06, 118 down, Mike. Not a bad position. He could make a challenge tomorrow.
Indeed, he's well placed, 1 minute 18 behind. And he missed a target as well. Missed one target in the pro. And his ski time is good. And this is one aspect of the courses here in Hofhilsen. It brings the field closer together. Because of the high speed out of the range, you've got a lot of flat skiing down there, and it's one of these races that doesn't separate the field massively on all standards.
And that means that the shooting is all the more important throughout these championships.
Simon.
Now, he won his last race in Perkluka, or the sprint event there, but he's not going to manage that today. 2 misses in all for Simon, which is respectable, but Mike, explain the ski speed. He's 143 down, not on the same form. Didn't appear to be body-wise. His tempo was good, his push looked good. I'm wondering if possibly there's a little element of his the
the wax they have on the base of their skis might be an issue.
What about the phlegm on the face? That to me is always a bad sign. Bjorn Dahlen has it a lot, but when he's on top form, it's not there.
Well, here he is on top form, and he's what, 13 seconds ahead, I think it was.
13 seconds ahead of Darius Emlier, and Darius Emlier at this stage was well, he's lost 14 seconds to Fischer, Mike. He's still got some way to go. Is the German going to survive? 22-28. Fischer 16 down. He was 28 down after the second shoot. So he's gained 12, or Fischer was 12 seconds quicker at that stage. But that's 8.6. He's got another 1.4 kilometers to go, and he's got a second for every 100 meters in hand.
Yeah, and he's looking smooth as well, Bjorn Dahlen. I'm just thinking, you know, the other 115 athletes in the race today, there's 116 racing, they all must be wondering, how do I prepare ever to beat Bjorn Dahlen? When Bjorn Dahlen has a good day, you could say he's unbeatable. He is the biathlete, and there hasn't been anyone like him ever who can produce it on the big day like this and consistently from season to season.
Sven Fischer just, I think he's just trying to
get rid of the cameraman.
Stay away from the press. He just wants to focus his mind. He knows he's still got a chance of winning this one. He will have picked up on the fact that he was very much quicker than Bjorn Dahlen in the lower meadow, but will he be able to hold on? Here comes Egil Kjelland, another good Norwegian performance, 25-27. Even he can't manage to stay in the top 6 or 7 positions with a clear shoot. Is he going to beat Poiré? 25-38? Yes, he is. He goes into 11th, Poiré down to 12th, and so getting back to the World Cup points, Poiré is going to pick up a measly number. Bjorn Dahlen looking as though he's heading for 50 or definitely 46. He's not going to lose third place as well. Here he comes into the stadium. 24:48 is the time he's got to beat, and it's very, very tight. Bjorn Dahlen 14 seconds in hand with 1,400 meters to go. He's done enough. He's lost a little bit more time. It really was an astonishing ski by Sven Fischer, but Bjorn Dahlen was quicker over the middle loop, and he's 10 seconds inside the great German champion. But it's Norway's gold medal almost certainly. I can't see anyone else on the list who's got anywhere near his time, despite the fact that he missed one target in the prone. What do you say about that?
It's just quite amazing. There's not enough words to express how good this man is. On any day that he wants to win medals, he can do it. He has the physical ability, the mental ability. Although missing one target, it does open the chances up for tomorrow for someone to beat him in the pursuit race.
Well, he didn't take any golds in Oberhof, but he started these championships in Hofilsen in the best possible style. Sven Fischer of Germany relegated from gold medal position down to silver. I think that's where he's likely to stay. Great congratulations for Ole Einar Bjorn Dahlen. He took 4 golds at the Salt Lake City Olympic Games. Is he going to make it 5 golds here in Hofilsen? Well, surely not.
It's only one man can, and it's Bjorn Dahlen. It would be a tough thing to do. I think he's looking to do that next year at the Olympics.
24:37, the leading time. We suspect it's going to be the winning time as well. Fischer in second place. Ilmar Brissis, Mike, haven't said much about him, but 24 seconds down. He's in third position, shot clear. What a great start for him.
Yeah, great to see that. Brissis and the Latvian team do not have much in the way of finance in relation to the rest of the big teams, and that's a great day for Latvia.
Still, welcome back to Hogfilson. Well, we can sit back and enjoy the rest of the race, and Holubets will be very proud of that. I think from Group 3, Mike, Holubets had the best chance of producing a good result. He finished well up the field in Oberhof in the sprint event last year. And just as I say that, I've lost the piece of paper that had the record on. But he finished 11th last year with a clear shoot. Not going to be quite as high, but he's clear again, and that's a major achievement.
That is a major achievement, and once again, yet some athletes really put this as their focal point on the season, and for Holubets, he can bring this extra magic out of himself on the World Championship days.
Derkach, another Ukrainian who's produced a top 20 run at the moment. Be interesting to see what Derkach can do over the last 3.3 kilometres. He's a man who's won before. but obviously not in the same class as this man.
Bjorndali having a little chat with him.
Most successful ever Winter Olympian, but that could all change next year if Ole-Einar Bjorndalen has a similar amount of success as he had in Salt Lake City. Bjorndali now concerned with supplying all the national teams with ski equipment, and it's nice stuff, but you need to take out a second mortgage to buy much of it.
You're paying for the name, are you? But yeah, very good kit.
Now the French, Mike, the only team with 5 members racing.
And it's looking good for the French. Aubert has just come across the line, start number 95, and brilliantly in 14th position. I think that's his best result of the season. In fact, he's just ahead of his teammate Poiret. So 2 Frenchmen have beaten Poiret today. Not the normal.
Well, here is Ole-Einar. This is the pro, and he missed his first shot. That must have sent shockwaves through the Norwegian camp, but he hit the remaining 9. And he really has made huge improvements this year, taken on a personal shooting coach, which I think there aren't many people who can afford to do that. Most national teams will have a shooting coach and a fitness coach, but Bjorndalen has his own.
It has made that difference, though, hasn't it? He's got this individual focus. Somebody saying, well, look, you're doing well today, you're snatching your trigger, pointing out the aspects which were just a little bit weak.
Is that an eagle's eye on the blinder?
I think it was. And there's the shooting coach there.
No, he's done a great job.
But yes, that's one aspect that Bjorndalen has improved on throughout the summer months leading into the winter. Could this be the best placed Austrian? 35th? No, it was Fritz Pinzer.
I think Rotman is the best chance the Austrians have of taking a win, but how much damage is it going to have done having missed 5 in the standing? He's certainly not going to come into the standing shoots in the pursuit or the mass start or the individual with too much confidence.
No, indeed, and Klaus Siebert, the Austrian coach, he's a German. In fact, he won a medal here at the 1978 World Championships in Hochfilzen. He's coaching them, but their shooting is the weakness.
No, we haven't even seen, this is the first sign of any of the Finns. Kinnunen with a clear shoot. That's an excellent start. And just like the Ukrainians and the Belarus team, Mike, the Finns are a team that are good at the major championships. You look at their records. Haitalahti always produced his best in the majors. And Kinnunen has gone clear, and it's not a bad time, but he's still outside the top 25 positions. Purinen in 28th as well.
Well, Kinnunen is a former world champion in the junior races, and that was in 2003 in the individual, so he does shoot well. But yeah, Purinen and Haitalahti, I had expected them to be top 10 places today.
Now the Italians, well, they did well at the Nordic World Championships, taking gold and silver in the opening event, the men's 15 kilometre. It's not going to happen here today. Villamo lying in 27th position at the moment, and De Lorenzi, one missed target, could come in as the best Italian on the day.
The Italian team have a lot of work to do for the Olympics next year. They haven't really shown a great strength as a team this year, apart from the one podium position in rope holding. But a lot of work as a team to put in this summer, and I think they can come through to win medals next year, but it's a huge task. Can be done with a lot of focus. Did mention the Finns, Purinen and Haitalahti are in positions 24 and 25. 24 Purinen, 25 Haitalahti. That is good racing. They're only 1 minute 32 and 1 minute 34 off the pace.
Now here's another of the veterans on the tour, Wolfgang Purner of Austria. Oh, don't say he's going to do a Rotman. Down goes number 3. Good finish to that shoot, but a disappointing start. 8 out of 10 for Purner today, and I think the ski speed showing us Well, he's not on that bad a form. It would have been a good run had he hit all 10, and I'm a little surprised to see him in the last group.
Yeah, Wolfgang has been in the last loop just about all season, because of his ski speed, I suppose, but it's certainly in there today. Would have been out in the top 10 had he hit those 5 targets in the standing.
Now, we've still got 2 pretty outstanding athletes in the last group. Zdeněk Vítek of the Czech Republic, who's a former winner, and of course Vladimir Drachev, who's won on many occasions, starting 106 and 107, and I think Vítek must be in the range, or coming in there very shortly. Two loops for Wolfgang Perner, and that really does take it out of the inside leg, the leg that does all the supporting. So on this loop it's your left leg that suffers on the penalty loop, and that's sometimes why people go a little bit wider and do a normal style, Mike, as opposed to what used to be known as the marathon skate, and keeping the one ski absolutely next to the bollards, which is obviously the shortest line. Here comes Drachev. Won the sprint world championship title back in 1996.
Ruhpolding.
In Ruhpolding.
Very deliberate, very careful, taking a lot of time and losing probably 15, 17 seconds just in the time it takes to shoot on the best today, but that's what he needed to do. Indication that he doesn't have great form, but he turns right instead of carrying straight on around that punishing penalty loop.
Flying 42nd at the moment. He finished 43rd in the sprint event in Oberhof last year with 3 misses in the prone, 1 in the standing. The shooting is an improvement, but he hasn't shown any ski form so far this year. Here comes Ekholm of Sweden, the best of the Swedes so far. Carl-Johan Bergman, who's lying in 8th place. He's the only one in the top 20.
I think this team, the Swedish team, have a real potential to get a medal in the relay. They have a belief. They want to get a medal next year at the Olympics in the relay, and they want to put themselves in that position by doing well this year at the World Championships.
It's certainly a possibility on what we've seen this year. They won their first ever World Cup relay this season, and with the sort of form we've seen from Carl-Johan Bergman and Nielsen, then it's certainly a possibility. Here comes the 5th of the Frenchmen, Aubert, racing, of course, the team with the world champion allowed to enter 5, and Aubert is the lucky man who gets included because of Poiret's achievements last year, and it's been a good run. He's rewarded the coaches 25.47. Great result for Aubert. He's in 16th place, 109 off the pace, and that includes a missed target. So a great result. He's delighted with that. Top 20. A good start for him in tomorrow's pursuit. Like the majority of sports. Now, Mike, you think it's a good thing to have a highlight of the season. Should it be earlier, later? What do you feel there?
But this year it's a little later, given it's normally the first week in February, the first couple of weeks in February. A little later this year because it clashed with other major events at the time. I think it's good to have a World Championships every year. It gives the athletes a focus, it gives the sponsors an extra focus as well. And because biathlon is a little fickle, it's all about shooting and form, it does give opportunities for outsiders to win medals here and get a world title.
Well, I take that point, but some would say it belittles the actual value of a world championship title, and of course you only get to hold it for a year unless of course you can defend it again. Now just watching those results, Mike, Häkkinen in 18th, Thiele in 22nd. That's much better. Much better.
And for Italy, we mentioned the Italians, Willy Palhuber, a very late starter, but finished 25th place. Delighted to see that. Palhuber has been around for so many years.
Vítek who we mentioned, of the Czech Republic, not had a good start outside the top 60 after the second shoot, so I don't think he is going to feature now. Now, Mike, what are the chances of getting a Brit through to the pursuit phase of this competition? And that would mean finishing in the top 60 positions. Clements was the best placed when we last caught up with the British performances, but he's dropped down.
Yeah, sadly just outside. Mark Walker, in fact, the best British placing in 69th. Tom Clements just behind him in 70th.
But they both missed 3.
And Joe Brooks missed 5 and in 72nd place. That is a pity. Would love to have seen them in the pursuit tomorrow. Only the top 60 can take part.
Well, there were signs of their shooting improving in Pukluka, but they know that they have to shoot clear or 1 penalty maximum to qualify for the second phase. They've all failed to do that, and that's disappointing. Oliana Bjorndalen going down the line. He's done interviews in Italian, German, English, and now back to his own language, Norwegian. He must be getting a little bit confused. But he's got houses all over Europe now, but he spends most of his time in the north of Italy, Antolz, where his girlfriend lives, and they spend a lot of time there. But they have options. They can go to altitude, they can go at any level they like.
Yeah, Bjorndalen is so intelligent in what he wants, how he wants to perform, where he wants to be, and he looks at all aspects. And I think the other strength from Bjorndalen is his modesty. He just says, well, you know, I'm just another biathlete, and yeah, it just comes together for me. That's what I plan, and it actually comes together. He's so modest. And he always asks how everyone else, how was your race today? He doesn't just say, look, I'm great. He says, oh, how was your race? How's it going? Very, very modest and decent man indeed.
Well, the thing I like about the Scandinavian approach, Swedish and Norwegian, is that they believe in training themselves. I always remember Krista Skog, one of the British coaches once upon a time, coming in, and the first thing he said is, I'm here to teach you how to train yourself. It's not about authoritarian approach, that you will do this and you will do that. He wanted you to learn about your body, and I'm sure that's why the Scandinavians have continually been at the top of the game, and Norway at the moment 2 or 3 steps up on the Swedes.
And you're right. The Norwegian theory is that let the athlete is the engine that drives the results. Let them think and plan a little bit themselves. But they do teach them that from a young age. Other teams like the Russians, etc., they have a great team discipline, and that works as well, but not really allowing individual freedom within the plan.
But that only works well if the coach is the best in the world.
Indeed, if you have total respect for the coach, and he does get it right.
And there is no way that one coach can apply the same rules to all the skiers, because everyone's on different forms, different abilities, different capacities, and so I would always favour the Scandinavian approach.
Oh, indeed, and that's the way I functioned when I was racing. I loved to get some freedom where I could think and adapt and test new ideas in shooting and shooting training. It really did work for me, and it works very much for Oliana Bjorndalen.
Were you tempted to follow other people's ideas, or were you always thinking, well, if I follow them, the reproduction is only second best. What I need to do is think of new ideas and have the best ideas.
Well, I liked, especially in shooting, thinking of new ideas, the ideas that were sort of against the normal in shooting training, and it really did work for me.
Well, maybe you can let us into some of those secrets over the next 10 days. We've got a big program here in Hoffelsen. We've got the women's sprint still coming up later today as Lee Jackson comes across the line. Just 1 penalty.
Just outside the top 60. Oh, what a pity for Lee Jackson. Just outside the top 60. That would have been fantastic for him and the British team had he been in the top 60. He's thinking 3 seconds. Could I have pushed that a little bit more? Great to see him. This is his best result of the season, and he wasn't on best form. He was the 4th choice, if you like, of the coach, getting the last group just outside.
So Jackson 61, but the man who's top of the list today once again, Oliana Bjorndalen, and don't forget 50 points for the World Cup, with Poiré at the moment outside the top 12. We'll try and catch up. So calm.
Yeah, and I'm so pleased. He's been on this world tour for the last 15 years, and it's coming so good for him today. Bronze medal. It really is a huge result considering their lack of backup, their lack of funding, and Latvia should be so proud of this man today.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt that they will be. He's had one medal before in his career. That came in Pekluka in 2001 in the individual race. He's gone and got bronze again today. Was he expecting it? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. He did prepare well coming into this. He focused on this one more than most teams, missing some of the World Cups.
So the police officer from Riga gets the bronze. It's the soldier from Oberhof, Sven Fischer, who picks up the silver. An astonishing turn of speed over the last 3.3 kilometres for Fischer. Clawed back 30 seconds on the current leader at that stage, Derry Zemlier. But that is the trademark of Sven Fischer, and if he shoots 9 out of 10, you know he's going to be in the running. He gets silver. What a great start to his championships, and the best of the Germans today.
Don't think he's a soldier, though. Maybe he won't be happy if we call him the soldier. He used to be.
Used to be.
Works for a company, I believe. But what a performance, and I think he expected to win this, but he always knew that Ole Einar Bjørndalen was a later starter.
Very powerful, likes these hard conditions, and he showed that on the last loop, eating up the big hills, skate 2 all the way around the course.
That's a lot of power to maintain the technique. Huge amount of muscle stress going up that steep hill.
The body is strong, the mind is stronger in the case of Sven Fischer. Not the neatest or the most elegant on a pair of skis, but you wouldn't argue with him.
Look at the power going into the left ski to force his way around this corner. I'm delighted to see Sven Fischer in silver medal today.
24:48 the time for Sven Fischer on the clock, and he ends up 10.5 seconds off the gold medal. Frank Ulrich delighted with his performance today. Had he hit all 10, then it could have been a different story. But that's not the way it is, and it's not something that Sven Fischer will ponder over. He's delighted to take a medal in the first race of these championships. All the Germans electing to go early on. The Norwegians, on the other hand, decided that Group 2 was going to be the best group to go in. Andersen mucked up. Lars Berger couldn't do any better. Ole Einar Bjørndalen, though, 9 out of 10 on the day. The eagle eye has paid off. Ole Einar Bjørndalen storming away to take the sprint title. 4 golds in Salt Lake City. He started well here in Hofhilsen, and the talk of the town will be whether he can do it again and get a clean sweep.
It's not impossible. He has set himself up, 10 seconds advantage tomorrow, and with shooting form that he's carried all season, it could be possible for him to win again tomorrow.
So he also picks up 50 World Cup points and will gain at least 30 points on Raphael Porret of France, who's down in 13th place. And that certainly will be something that he'll think about today, and maybe he'll remount his challenge to win the overall World Cup this year. Sven Fischer won't do himself any harm either. 46 points for the German. He's lying in 2nd place at the moment. And so a great day all round for the Norwegians. Bjørndalen takes the gold, Fischer the silver, and Ilmar Brišis of Latvia a surprise bronze medal today. So that just about completes our coverage of the first event in these World Championships. No real surprises to see Bjørndalen